like every choice I'm making is wrong. Everything is unraveling.
She's not back?
No.
Hey, I'm Sergio. I'm from Portrait of Solitude in South Africa. So great to meet you, Sophia and Chris. Congratulations on the movie.
Thank you. Nice to meet you as well.
Thanks. So, first of all, my first question is for you, Sophia. The Stranger in My Home is drama, drama, drama around every turn and bend. How much fun is it sinking your teeth into a story that isn't short on juicy twists and turns?
I absolutely loved it. I mean, from the moment I read the script, I was excited about it. And then being able to dive into the source material, the best-selling novel by Adele Parks, and really see how rich a story is for every single character. Everyone has a secret. Everyone has something coming to bear in this moment. Once Tom shows up on my doorstep, nothing will ever be the same. And it was so exciting to start in a family drama, press into a thriller, and then be able to nod by the end of the movie to some really classic horror genre moments. It just felt like something I couldn't wait to sink my teeth into.
Great. And Chris, Tom is such a creepy dude in this. I mean, I couldn't help but chuckle. Like when he was
What are you
knocked
talking about? Tom loves his family.
when he sits up like Jason Voorhees, like straight up, or like the Undertaker, like this been knocked out. What was it like for you playing such a lurk and such a different type of character? This must have also been a lot of fun for you.
It was a lot of fun. So Tom's reality is a little disassociated from, everyone else's reality, which gives you a lot of freedom as an actor to, maybe to respond to things that aren't really even there sometimes. But how I really hooked into the character, believe it or not, I'm a family man. I've got kids, and it's love of family and the obsessive compulsion to hold on to that and whatever you can, um, and to love your children. So while what we see does not feel good intentioned most of the time, my road in was find what's good about Tom, find his redeeming qualities, even in this crazy descent that we experience together. So being able to play those two things at the same time was a real rich experience.
I also think underneath the main story of The Stranger in My Home is a subtext about the dangers of social media, especially how someone like Katie has a secret Instagram account and how people are able to find out everything about each other just by like effectively looking at each other's feeds. What did you take away? What did you take away from the story and its relation to social media that you might not have known about before?
You know what was really interesting? Yes, there's that obvious, glaring red light, especially where young people are concerned. Jonathan Haidt's book, The Anxious Generation, is incredible on the subject. One of the things that I think was really interesting, even to go a layer deeper than the obvious pitfalls, was that one of the ways we found a rhythm as our characters, as Allie and Tom together, was understanding that so much doesn't necessarily translate in the world of social media. You know, you often hear the adage, people don't necessarily receive you as you are when you put something out into the world. They receive what you put out into the world from their perspective as they are. And that really enabled us to find a meeting point because our characters are strangers. And then in a moment, they are sharing the most intimate connection that two people could be. But they don't know each other's rhythms, communication styles. So as things begin to kind of go sideways, where Allie might react in a certain way to Tom, it's easy to go, well, no, I mean, he's in this crazy scenario with me, Of course we're trauma bonding. This is so bizarre. No one knows what to say. He's not being weird. Wait, is it me? Am I the one being weird? And it gives you that ability to second guess yourself, which I think is part of what social media does to people too. And so it was really neat for us to have a surface experience of the dangers, particularly for a family, and then the subconscious experience of how people know or don't know how to communicate with each other anymore.
Yeah, I think that's a really insightful question about the social media aspect. I'm a father of 2 daughters, and one of my greatest fears is what they are going to experience online. So in terms of like real life horror, and real life fear, as an audience, as a viewer, I connected with that on a very deep level. And then even further, some of the stylistic choices that Jeff made seem to reference social media, the way slides are swiping across the screen, and as Sophia noted, what you see is not necessarily what you get. And I think that's how people perform on social media most of the time too. It's a distorted reality, and in this film, many people are presenting themselves with a distorted reality.
Mhm.
Also,
Tom is like the comment section.
that's so true.
He's the scariest part.
Yeah, that is true. The comment section, never read the comments. Yeah. So, Come on, Sophia, you touched upon earlier. Obviously, you mentioned the source material, the Adele Parks novel. Was it something that you were familiar with before going into the movie, or was it something that you picked up after you got the part?
Yeah, when the script came to me, and Jeff wanted to, meet about me portraying this character, I was so enthralled by the story, and knowing it was based on a bestseller made me feel so excited just as a journalism nerd and a person who loves narrative story. I wanted more. And so it was really important for me to be able to see the full scope of the novel and then see the choices that had been made and how it was being adapted, and use all of that as sort of character backstory. It's my favorite way to work.
Well, I think I've got time probably for one more question. I got a minute left. So I'm going to ask this one because our readers will not forgive me if I don't ask both of you this. First of all, Sophia, is there anything about the One Tree Hill revival you can share with us? And first, what the OC revival, or how about a super, like super groups, like the OC Tree Hill? What if, doesn't that sound like a great idea?
Isn't that what we're doing on Grey's Anatomy now?
Basically.
It's so wild that, we both got our starts in very similar places. I know that doing the rewatch podcast for One Tree Hill has been so much fun because in a way it's given us our show back and certainly made us open to the possibility of this chapter 2 happening should it go forward. I don't really have anything I can share there, but I do know that the nice commenters on the internet are very excited to see the OC and the One Tree Hill worlds colliding at Seattle Grace now in Scrubs.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing I think when we were making these shows, television existed in a very different sphere. You made it and it was gone. And maybe it would rerun on television. I certainly did not foresee the streaming world back then, but I'm very grateful that people are stumbling across our old work and relating to it and giving it new life. And that's a wonderful thing.